funny and tall man, Austin Mcdonald-Scott.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, my name is Austin Mcdonald-Scott, class of 2012, or I should have been anyway. But I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'm not bad. It was my bad. But I want to make sure that you guys know that I'm not that scary. I'm very tall. I'm 6'5", but I am actually a very kind person. I'm not an angry guy. There are a few things though that do piss me off. First of all, I'm very shy about my size. Actually, I know, you're skinny. But that's the whole point. I can't gain weight to save my life. You know, I'm 6'5" and I weigh 150 pounds soaking wet. And you know, I don't know if any of you guys have experienced this, but you have no idea how galling it is to be told to go eat a cheeseburger when you've just consumed 2 cheeseburgers the size of that guy's head with, you know, bacon and cheese and barbecue sauce, and it's amazing. I mean, it's like going swimming and having the lifeguard tell you that you need to go take a bath. But I'm not mad, like I said. The worst people about this, though, are Jewish mothers. And it's okay, I love Jewish mothers. I grew up in a very heavily Jewish neighborhood. But every time I would go over to one of my friends' houses, their mother would always be like, "Oh my God, Austin, you look so thin. Have you eaten today?" And I'd be like, "Yes, Mrs. Leibowitz, I just ate." I'd be like, "No, seriously, you look so thin. Would you like some ice cream?" And I really just wanted to scream at the woman, "Look, I'm lactose intolerant. You're throwing me on that life preserver, woman." But I'm not mad. I'm not. And then there's the times when you go out to like a really nice restaurant, you know? Like Virgil's. You guys know Virgil's out in Times Square? It's great barbecue. And they give you a plate that's like 3 feet across, piled high with meat. And I eat the whole thing, I do. But then I get these dirty stares from people when I go to the bathroom after my meal. And it's like Steve Irwin. It's like they're watching Animal Planet. And it's like, watch as the classic bulimic wanders his way back to his natural habitat. If you listen closely, you might be able to hear the sounds of him launching his lunch back into the toilet. I'm like, you fuckers, don't you understand that it's not that I'm going to throw up? It's just that I eat a 4-pound meal and I take a 5-pound crap. And, you know, speaking of wanting the world to go away, the other thing that I've acquired a good taste for here in New York City is a good cheap drink. I know. The thing with cheap drinks, though, is that you get what you pay for. Case in point, well whiskey. In New York City, the typical brand is Evan Williams. And if you know anything about Evan Williams, it's the type of liquor that you get and you stare at the glass saying, "I wonder if I should just go home and, you know, gargle some fingernail polish remover, because I'm pretty sure I could get the same effect." In my house, we don't even call it whiskey. We call it and a shot, because the only time that you'd ever consider drinking it is if you get it free with an equally shitty beer. That way, you can hate yourself twice as much the next morning for half the price. But, you know, you do get what you pay for, and that's one of the things that pisses me off. Another one is cars in New York City, especially the drivers of those said cars. The type of guys that, you know, you see pull up to a yellow light and they gun it. So, you know, if grandma's crossing and they hit her, it's 20 points. It's 50 points if they haven't hit puberty yet. And these same guys, I used to work outside, you know, outdoors in Times Square. And these guys would just lay on their horns, and I really wanted to go up to them and just tell them, like, hey, roll the window down. Yeah. Honk! Do you like that? Is it nice? Honk! But, and I understand. I do. Horns are mandatory safety features on cars. They are. But I think that if they're mandatory safety features on cars, they should be mandatory for pedestrians as well. And can you imagine how awesome that would be, though? Like, if you're walking down the middle of Times Square, and don't tell me you haven't done this, when there's 60 tourists in the way, if you had your own little horn, you could just be like, honk, please move. And they would. It'd be fantastic. You know, you go to the DMV, you get that guy that insists on having his picture taken 6 times because his hair isn't perfect. John Budniak, I'm looking at you. And that way you could just be like, honk, John, please move. the guy at Starbucks, who all you want to do is just put milk in your coffee, but he's sitting there, put every single ingredient on the table in there. He's like, milk, sugar in the raw, equal, Splenda, honey, agave nectar, dragon semen, and you're just like, oh, please move. Okay, how many of you guys live in Brooklyn? You guys are fucking crazy. I mean, I've lived in Brooklyn now for about a year, and I've seen stabbings, shootings, suicides, heart attacks, strokes, and that's just by building. It's a crazy place, man. I mean, I'm not surprised that fucking Law and Order is filmed here. And the worst of it, though, that I saw was at a little bar down on the M called Gotham City Lounge. And this is a cool little bar. It really is. It's made for geeks. It's a comic book bar. So it's the type of place where pathetic losers like me can go and feel better about themselves because they meet other pathetic losers who talk about being pathetic losers. It's great. And so, you know, I'm out there and I'm all chilling, you know, I'm like, hey, you know, I'm smoking my cigarette, you know, talking to my pathetic loser buddies, and there's this guy that comes up on the street and just gets jumped, like hard. And there's this guy, he's just like kicking the crap out of him, and like one of the guys that I'm sitting there smoking with, and I'm not sure why, because like I said, this is a bunch of nerds, but this guy is like buff, he's big. I mean, he might have been the bouncer, that would explain a lot. But you know, this guy goes out there and he pulls the guy, like kicking the guy's ass off, and he's like, man, don't do that. The guy turns around and pulls a knife on him. It's scary. And the bouncer's like, oh shit! And he backs up towards the bar, and the guy comes after him, and it's really fucking scary. The thing he doesn't realize, though, is that this is a geek bar. And geeks have mad lightsaber skills. And there's a pool table in there, man. So you've got 8 nerds surrounding the door of this bar with pool cues going like, and this guy tries to go in there, and you've got 8 nerds just beating his ass with lightsabers, and it's awesome! And in case you're wondering, there is a moral to this story. 1, go eat a cheeseburger. 2, don't live in Brooklyn. And 3, don't lay on your horns, because if you do, there's a chance that 8 pool cue wielding nerds might just beat the shit out of you. Thank you guys, good night. I'm also a sound tech.